He is a digital creator and songwriter and music creator. You can find him on YouTube. He has over 150-ish videos, which is a lot, and then over 2,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
He's just keep on grinding, and I really appreciate that. So, to start off, how did you start composing? What got you into writing music and just
So I think, the name of this session is Composing with AI, and I think the perspective, I'm myself am not a producer, right? I'm a songwriter. The perspective that I can bring to this is kind of, I'm in tech, right? And so I see on the outside just how AI is just overwhelmingly affecting just everyday life, A. And then B, kind of my unique perspective on just my background, right? Like I'm probably one of like 3 people in my entire company that doesn't have a college degree, right? So very ground up experience, and school of hard knocks for music as well, right? Wow. So as far as like composing with AI, I just wanted to be clear, right? I'm not composing with AI, but obviously being a musician and a human being, AI is affecting everything all around us. So I might have a perspective or two there. So how long have I been making music? Yes. Was the question. Yeah. So I'd for about 10 years now, actually 12 years now, 13 years. Time flies when you're making rock music. Got started playing rock and roll in a band called I Am King. Very fortunate that we got picked up by one of the biggest indie labels in North America. It was a subsidiary of Sony Records. Ended up touring internationally and playing with cool people like A Day to Remember and Sleeping with Sirens and Bring Me the Horizon and a bunch of people that are much more rich and famous than myself. And then from there, I went into a band that was kind of like a quasi super group of people made up from a band called Attack, which was a pretty big metalcore band. At that time, worked with people like Taylor Larson, who's Grammy nominated, worked with Dan Corneff, who did a small record known as Paramore's Riot Record. He also did all of Breaking Benjamin's stuff. So that was the producer that we went to at that time. Found out I was having my daughter, and I had to shift my life around to be able to be a good supportive father, right? So, and then after that, I got into the solo stuff, right? So that's a very quick snapshot of the past 10 years or so.
Awesome. I'll end with that. So, and you said you could probably bring a unique perspective in terms of AI in like music writing. So, like you said, technology has gotten better and is going to get better and better.
Yeah.
So, what adaptations have you had to make to kind of respond to the growing technology?
I would say my initial reaction is to like be opposed to it, right? It's because it's a change that's happening just like everything else at light speed. So my biggest pivot has been to have to look at this as kind of like that period of time when we were going from horse and buggy over to the automobile. There were people saying, cars will never replace the horse and buggy. There were people fighting for their jobs who had horse and buggy businesses, all of these things. But I think ultimately this is a tide that nobody can really hold back at all. And so I'm trying to find a way to embrace it for what it is and look for positive opportunities rather than negative opportunities, right? So that's like the biggest way that I've adapted or shifted into AI. One of them being with, have you ever heard of 11 Laps before?
Yes, 11 Laps.
Yeah, exactly. So Bob actually at AGE was like, you should look into this, and what a great way for you to like tag and license your own voice, take ownership in your talents. And sure, is it weird that like my voice is going to be out there doing things that like I didn't actually do? Yeah. Sure, but it's like I own it. I license my own voice, and it's being proactive, right? So really, that's where I'm at right now. Is like I'm just open to doing more things, and at bare minimum, learning about what's out there. And 11 Labs is just like a really good, clear-cut example of how I leaned into that process, and now I get to make money on the side from my voice, right? And I'm not even necessarily a voice actor. But I have a decent, I would say my voice has some good, healthy vibration, right? Yeah, happy to see some money from that, and it being a positive thing.
Is 11 Labs the only tool that you found?
Correct. So far, that's really been the only one that I've really leaned into. There are ones where you can turn your singing voice into an AI function and use that to orchestrate, right, in music. I have not done that because, to my knowledge, or at least from what I've seen, there really hasn't been like a licensing opportunity for that. You know what I mean? That at least as far as my own research, which I'm sure it exists out there, but just from what I've done.
Gotcha. And then, so have you ever, outside of using the AI for 11 Labs, has there any been upgrades in technology that helps you with when workflow, when songwriting, or like creating music? Like what any of the upgrades?
Oh my God, yeah,
just, like,
for sure.
Because if it has to have like gotten easier, and so I'm just interested like how that changed.
Yeah, I would say the biggest place where AI is so important right now is in all of the minute details that are just time consuming, right? Like it's all about how can we practically use AI.
Right.
It's not like we're not going to solve world hunger with AI tomorrow, but like something like when I'm recording now with the AI tools that we use, I can create doubles of my main vocal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Through AI and digital renditions, and I don't have to do those takes, right? So depending on the part, that's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes saved. Compound that across an entire year. That's a nice chunk of change that I can spend with my 9-year-old or spend with my 2-year-old, right? So that kind of stuff to me seems like the smaller stuff is what I'm most interested about with AI right now. So vocal alignment, right? So let's say you have a timing issue, right? And your take is just a little too long or a little too short. Now there are AI tools out there where you can make it the perfect length that you want, right? So it absolutely has begun to be very transformative, but in kind of like a grain of sand kind of way. It'll build up over time, which I'm super excited and thankful for.
And then have you, so I'm just curious because like if you're doing a double of your vocals and you do an AI generated version of that, do they necessarily do they conflict at all?
No, yeah, it just creates like, so what happens is like if you have, let's say that I take one vocal and I copy and paste it 3 times, right? Because ultimately you want your vocals typically for like a chorus to be in stereo, right? You have a left side of the vocal, you have a right side of the vocal, and you have a center side of the vocal. If I copy and pasted that 3 times, it would sound super echoey and weird because it's the exact same vocal just 3 times. And so the AI will just slightly differentiate it enough to where it sounds different, like it's just a bigger version of your voice. Right? So it definitely doesn't conflict. There's definitely some times where it like messes up.
Sure. But that's technology.
Yeah, exactly. And so you just gotta rerun it through and it'll be fine.
Okay. And then and I guess outside of your own work, have you found uses for like you're saying that you want to cut out the small time consuming stuff? What about outside of music? Have you ever found opportunities to get that, to get those minute?
Sure, yeah. So I mean, everything from like even like CapCut, right? Which is like a tool that I use every other frickin' day. Like their speech to text features, so that you have like text on all your videos, right? Has gotten so much better because of the AI that they've embedded into their tool, right? I would rather go to the dentist than edit videos. I hate editing videos. It is the most dog thing that I have to do, right? Very thankful. And again, like CapCut also now has like a feature where like plug CapCut, send me money. CapCut also has a feature where it will auto cut your video for you. It'll remove all your ums that you have in the video, or like anytime that you do that, right? So it saves me a boatload of time, right? So I would say that outside of like literally recording my music, of course it's still like content related.
Sure.
Right, but definitely it's making my life so much easier.
That's good. That's good. And like you always want to optimize stuff so you don't have to do like things that like will slowly take up more.
Right.
What do you, I guess, as AI gets better and technology gets better, what are some things that you would like them to make that process easier? It's like, for example, of like cutting out the or the breaths. Is there any process that you would like to be kind of like automated, just so you don't really have to deal with that anymore?
I think that's the real question about practical AI right now, because it's like, what can it do? And the answer is everything, right? So I don't have the the answer for you on that specific question, but what I think is more interesting to think about, right, is right now, like for instance, like if artificial intelligence wrote coding for a website,
Sure.
would you have any specific feelings about that?
Yes and no.
Tell me about that. What would be some of those thoughts or feelings?
I think it would be good as a baseline. Like if you can get a if you just writing out code, just have a basic blank slate, that can take up time. And so having that just as
An outline.
An outline.
Yeah, to get you started. Right?
And then from there you can get into specifics.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think I have seen some examples of stuff like ChatGPT helping write code. It's just, from what I understand is just basic outline is probably the best, and then if you can tune it to your specific needs.
Totally agree. But like for me, when I think about somebody writing, like, do I want AI just full on carte blanche, just writing code and like, you know, writing code for a hospital somewhere and somebody's lives, you know, a life is on the line? Probably not. But I don't get specifically like icked out by that. But how do you feel about AI creating art?
That's one of like the more like touchy subjects.
Yeah, right. And so this is my point, is that like I think that my general thought is I think there's too many artists in the world. There's too many singers, it's a saturated market because technology
Sure.
can shorten the gap of talent, right?
Yeah.
But now with AI, like, there is this, like, again, when I see AI artwork, I know that it's, like, ripped off of a bajillion other people's artwork, right? So it makes me feel, like, icky. I think that as we move forward, we're going to find that the art that we create, the art that we do is going to become more and more and more and more important, A. And then B, I think it's going to be very important to become specialized, right?
In something specific.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I don't think that the way that we have college today, I've got plenty of feelings about universities in general. You know, I didn't go to college for a very, very specific reason.
Got it.
But I think that when we become specialized in one specific area, I definitely think that for decades to come, there's going to be so much nuance that AI is not going to be able to capture, right?
Yeah.
And I also think that's going to be way more efficient for us, because AI is going to take care of a lot of the minutia,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's going to start, you're going to be able to scale onboarding for a team of developers,
Sure. Yeah.
right? You're going to be able to ramp them faster because it's starting the code for you, and
Right.
you need to finish it,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that the natural response to that is going to be, well, if all this work is done, I get to focus on this one specific thing,
Right.
and becoming an expert on that,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's more and more what I'm seeing out in the tech world as well, right? but they're looking for hyper specific talent at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, I will have a small counterpoint to that, is that even though that AI and technology can help get like dealing with the minutia, I still don't think that you should use that as a reason to not learn the basics.
100%.
So it's just
Absolutely.
because like I think having a good foundation and knowing what goes into
But you know it's
making
gonna
that
happen.
Like, yeah, but,
It's gonna happen.
but, like,
People are gonna absolutely pass the buck. But
Right.
fundamentally,
But-
I'm spot on.
yeah. So like I still think you still need to have and learn a good foundation for whatever it is that you're doing, and then use technology to kind of like get rid of the fat, and
Mhm.
then focus on that specific stuff, and then whether it be, at least in the technology side, either like front end, back end,
Yep.
stuff like that. And
Yep.
that can be definitely applied to music as well. So
Absolutely, 10,000%. So I think that, yeah, I think in the future, oddly, I think that there's going to be, I think that there's going to be a renewed appreciation for like real talent, right? That can't be generated from a computer. There's going to be a resurgence of the want for interaction without an algorithm. You know what I mean?
sure, yeah.
I think that pendulum is about to swing back a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. And I think it's also because I think you talked about how a lot of technologies that consumer can just buy off the market kind of narrows that gap of what is just amateur and professional.
100%.
And so having trying to find what separates that is going to be like the key.
Yep, absolutely.
So and it is scary to think about at least for
It's
for me.
terrifying.
Sure, but I mean we have to figure out what we can do, get that and see, because it's not going anywhere. It's
Absolutely.
just only going to get better and better. The only thing is that if we do keep on using it, I would hope that we don't do that. Use the AI to copy the specific things, because AI, like for example, like the AI art, it's not going to be. It's not always correct. It's not always right. But then if we use whatever the AI generated to feed the AI the algorithm, then it starts spitting out falses.
100%. Yeah, hallucinations like crazy.
Yeah, so it's just like, and I have to imagine that if that can happen for art, I imagine happening for technology as well as
For sure, and
audio.
that's exactly how it works, right? There's a saying, it's crap in, crap out, and that's
Yeah.
how it works with the RAG pipeline, right? Like, retrieval augmented generation, I think is what that stands for, right?
Yeah.
Which essentially just is the data context and the data pipeline that the AI is going to pull from, right? And
Yeah.
so you're right.
Yeah.
If that's not basically perfect,
Yeah.
it's going to get out of hand very, very quickly in the hallucinations that the AI has,
Yeah.
which we've already seen.
Yeah, we have, especially, and people are, I think people are more, I think in this day and age, more sensitive to that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, and then they can like start picking out, and then I think that kind of starts the pendulum swing of finding the talent or like the natural.
Yes.
And so it's just it's a weird thing. It's just like, yes, we're advancing, but then we also kind of like we're backpedaling a little bit to like
Yeah.
finding what's real.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. But I would argue it's like we're going back, but like from a timeline, from a time perspective.
Sure.
Right. But like really, like we know that real interaction. God bless you. We know that real interaction is the healthiest thing for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure,
This
for
is
sure.
like being in person with people. It creates oxytocin and this whole angel's cocktail of stuff when you're conversing
Yeah.
with somebody, right? So I think that ultimately, yeah, there's, again, if you even look at my music workflow, tons of time saved.
Yeah. For sure.
Tons of time saved. But I just don't think that like having like there's so many anti-AI pages out there, but it's like trying to stand in front of a tidal wave and run like this.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't think that's gonna help any
Mhm.
necessarily,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's up to us as leaders in this space, as artists, to lean into it as positively as possible. It's a bit like, I don't know, if I saw somebody who was, less fortunate living on the streets and I gave them $100 to go get themselves something. Some people are like, but they might buy drugs.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
might buy alcohol.
Yeah.
It's not really up to me,
Mhm.
right? What matters to me, or what should matter, is the intent behind the initial thing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
And I feel like should be a part of the North Star for any artist out there moving forward.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
What matters is the intent. All this stuff happening behind the curtain of Oz, like, it's kind of like a little out of our control to a certain degree.
Yeah, no, with everything going on, there's just so many things out there and that's happening, and especially with it's hard to keep up with everything. And so, really, at least personally, I've had just really need to buckle down and figure out what can I do just personally, what am I able to really control or do online, because if I try and worry about everything that's going to happen outside of what I'm gonna drive myself insane.
Absolutely, and we're literally, as human beings, fundamentally not designed to operate like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just too much, and you're going to have analysis paralysis, and it's going to be a terrible experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah. But anyways, if we want to shift just slightly, I saw on your social media that you recently posted that you dropped one of your best songs ever.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about that and see what?
Sure. Yeah. So totally away from the AI conversation,
Yeah.
but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I dropped a song called Vermilion, and I think is that Bob that I'm hearing? Right
Yeah,
now?
I think I had that.
From across the universe?
No, you can hear his voice from a mile away.
I've been together now with my wife for almost 11 years. I've got 2 kids. I have a Bruce Wayne job, and I was starting to feel the flame of my dreams kind of smoldering a little bit, and I had heard, obviously not a great character, but there's a character called Griffith from an anime called Berserk, and he had this whole dream speech that he gave, and it just really I felt extremely seen. He's talking about a dream can wake you from a slumber, a dream can kill you, a dream can revive you, a dream can inspire you, destroy you, all of these things. And I think that having a dream is one of the loneliest, darkest paths that you could probably go down, because it really does, you really want to chase after a dream. Typically it takes kind of every ounce of fortitude within your being, and you're constantly just eating a sandwich and finding a way to get back up again, right? And so really that's what Vermilion was, and it was kind of my adamant declaration that in the chorus is rage in a blaze of glory, sink into me. So it's about the lyrics are literally reconnect with my lower self and crush all of the kindness. At some point in especially as a dad, right? You're working for corporate America or whatever, you're constantly having to be so nice, and you're constantly just taking a bunch of shit, right, from other people, and it becomes you trying to be this perfect role model for your kids, but deep down inside, there's still that version of me that wants to conquer the world and wants to make my dreams a reality. And so the song was about finding that kind of Keynesian blend, that handshake between who I used to be and who I am now, to find a real synergy and still keep my passions alive, right? And so Vermilion, fun fact, is a color family that is derived from cinnabar.
Oh, okay.
Cinnabar was known as the beautiful death because it is a mercury ore.
Right, yeah.
So most people in ancient times who were designated to mine that ore, they called it a death sentence because over time they would get mercury poisoning,
Right.
and they would die, right? But that thing, that poisonous thing, has the ability to become this extremely refined, extremely vivid, and beautiful thing, right? That can be turned into art and something that can be appreciated, right? And so that's really where, you know, this dream could be a bad thing, right? You could, you know, because I think a lot of times, like starting a business or having a passion, it's a bit like gambling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every time that I spend money on my business, it's one less dollar that my daughter sees, right? Or one less trip that I can take with my wife or whatever, right? And so really Vermilion, was just like trying to refine the good and the bad into a positive thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I can kind of resonate with that personally, just because, like you said, I also have a blue swing job, but then after that, I'm a voice actor, so I'm trying to break into like the voice acting industry, and a lot of the time goes into like auditioning, editing, and then I've come to realize that because of that, my social life is kind of shot. Yeah. Because I'm trying to pursue something that's
it's a dark and lonely road, isn't it? Yeah.
So I resonate a lot with the message of that, and it definitely gets to me sometimes. So
yeah, and it's so hard to keep that right perspective, especially when it's like everything's defined to a certain degree by an algorithm, or how many views you have, or how many whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you really need to dig deep within yourself and have your vertical alignment in a way that it doesn't matter. People show up to your stream. It doesn't matter if people are in the room. Like, do you want them in the room? Mm-hmm. Of course. Yeah. Would I love 40,000 people sitting here listening to this right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But even the fact that I get to talk to you one-on-one like this, right? It's all worthwhile. I'm sitting here, I get to talk about anime and music for an hour. Yeah. Somebody asked me to do this. That's sick.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah. That's like super dope.
Yeah.
So I think having that vertical alignment is what's going to keep you sane. Yeah. At the end of the day.
Otherwise, you're just kind of trying to. You like you said, it can be a lonely path sometimes, but then
absolutely.
Then thoughts can come in.
100%. That's why it's got to be about the love of the game and not the love of the scoreboard at the end of the day.
I've always tried to find the joys of what I'm doing as a passion, to let that keep me going.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's if I'm trying to like view it from a monetary perspective or a result perspective,
you lose your mind.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's the most discouraging thing ever, right?
And well, yeah. So I don't know. I didn't realize that was what the song was about, but I definitely got that.
Peep the lyrics. So, check out the lyrics.
I definitely will. I saw it, and I'll definitely check it out. So, and then you also posted about a Halloween song as well.
I did, yeah.
So very, very thematic. So what was that? So what was it about?
Yeah, so kind of very serendipitously, I had just rewatched Hellsing Ultimate, which is like,
great.
I just forgot how insanely dark and satanic that show is.
It's so,
and how just like, it's like Berserk is violent, but it's like a different kind of violence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is just like bathe in the blood of your enemies and drink their blood and steal their soul, and here's some pentagrams and all the things, right? Anyways, love Hellsing Ultimate, and all the things. And my friend Nikki Trax, who is stupid talented, brand new dad, just had his first son, Casper. Big congrats to you, my friend. He was like, "Do you want to do a Hellsing song?" I'm like, "Absolutely." But I want to fully commit to, like, I want this to be like a nerdcore song that like it is from Alucard's like perspective.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's like it is like the character Alucard. So I did voice acting. Obviously, I base my voice off of the voice actor that does the dub of Alucard.
Yeah.
It was just fun to like laugh like an absolute psycho.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the song. I think I did a halfway decent job as well. If I do say so myself,
I mean,
go check it out.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I think it hits all the marks of what Alucard is, and you know, even the hook of the song is "The bird of Hermes is my name," right?
Mm-hmm.
Biting my wings to make me tame. So we put all the things in there, and the control art restriction system, like all of the plugs are in there, and Nicki's bars are just like absolutely insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super excited. It's like it's a true nerdcore song.
Yeah, and it's definitely on theme because of Halloween.
Yeah.
So it was like, that'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
Definitely check that out if you have the time.
Yep.
And then, I guess to kind of bring this all together, as where do you kind of see, with music and AI, it is it's kind of hard to find a good meeting point to like try and put them together to make them work perfectly. Do you see that do you see that going anywhere? Do you see that at some point that there's going to be this harmony between of AI and music creation, or is it just always just going to be like some kind of mess that we just have to navigate?
No, I definitely think that it will be slow boiled in no time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's kids who have never seen like cursive,
Yeah.
unthinkable for like somebody from my generation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so there's going to be kids that grow up that have never lived in a world without AI,
Yeah.
right? So I think that it's for sure going to become more and more common. I think that having like AI idols, digital idols, like the Vocaloid stuff, but like
Yeah.
kind of multiplied a little heavier,
Yeah.
right, is going to become more the norm, specifically from a corporate perspective, because they have 100% control of the entity, right?
Yeah.
They don't have an artist they have to feed. They don't have an artist that, you know, complains. It's just an AI that's going to do whatever it says, whenever they want, right? But I do think that ultimately it's going to be, again, I think that the world will kind of decide, as Dre Williams was saying yesterday in his panel. The world is going to decide ultimately, but I think that there will be a pretty healthy blend between AI and people wanting the talent and like to not be able to fake it because they want something that's real.
Sure.
I think that naturally is going to happen here in the next 10, 15 years, without a doubt.
Yeah, because they are kind of two different markets. Because at least one with the Vocaloid stuff, at least that seems a lot more popular in Japan.
For sure.
And then at least for the West, the U.S. at least, it seems a lot more like the real talent, not real talent, but like the real singers and songwriters. But then you have a mix of the technology, especially when like T-Pain introduced all the
Auto-tune.
auto-tune stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like that kind of started the trend, and that's kind of like mixed with everywhere.
Without a doubt.
So we'll see where it goes, and I'm interested to see what it eventually like looks like in the future. But it's
I think it'll be like a lot of the practical stuff. Again, I think that it'll be like doubling vocals. It'll be like it can auto-generate harmonies for you,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know if like, you know, the mainstay is going to be like, I didn't sing any of my own songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that it'll exist within like a niche, but I think it'll be more so that like blended approach, right? Where it's kind of like this inextricable mix of human AI creation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What would happen? Like I imagine this has happened to you before, where you're just kind of like stuck.
Exactly, right? And you're gonna have like something that can create like
Yeah, and just like
ideas for you.
Yeah, so just like give me something, and then I can like, what does this work with what I'm working on now,
Sure.
or can this eventually be something else?
Yep.
So it's just where has that happened to you, or is it?
Yeah, I think that there are, first of all, that already exists out there. There are people that are already doing that. But even now, like in my, like I'll like email a con, and people will email me back and say, I responded because I could tell this wasn't written by ChatGPT.
Wow.
Right? So people know, And I think that with music too, people are gonna know,
Yeah.
right? So for me personally, I haven't used AI for anything other than to double a vocal, or you know what I mean? If my vocal take was just a little too long, I'll shorten it up,
Sure,
and
sure.
it'll automatically blend it for me, right? But I think that there will be people that do that with their music, but I think people are gonna be able to tell.
Gotcha.
You can't fake the authenticity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think we mentioned this before, but it's getting to the point where people. I think in the past it might have been more possible.
But now,
but now
yeah, exactly.
It's because we've been exposed to it a lot. Now we can kind of see where maybe there are the cracks within whatever. But AI.
Yeah, and I think that perfection is so boring, and I think that you're gonna know what's AI and what's not from a creative perspective, because it's going to be a lot more polished or perfectly symmetrical, right? But I think that it's messy success, it's the imperfections that kind of define us and make us who we are, right, as people. I think that speaks to our art as well, in a lot of ways.
I think that's interesting as a trend, because I think growing up we always wanted to strive to be perfect, right? But then when in terms of creative space, but also just in general, being imperfect and being
It's going to become a strength.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be one of the chips that you can put in. It's
Yes.
Hey, this is what I can bring into the table.
You're so right, man. You're so right. And just I think that my soul is very rooted in rock and metal and rock and roll, and I think that grunge era 2.0 that just sounds scream and yell it, just totally raw. I think there's going to be a mega resurgence of that.
Yeah.
That has yet to be seen, right? Where they just want this unfiltered, unauto-tuned, just raw sounds.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm trying to think what was inspired. Is there any artists that you feel that are moving towards that, or
yeah, there's definitely niche artists, right,
Yeah.
that are definitely doing that, but I don't think that the wave of it being the thing has happened yet.
Okay. And how long do you anticipate that being going?
Looking at my crystal ball,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please tell us the future.
that's a really good question. I think it could literally happen any time now, right? I think that certainly in the next 5 years, I just think people are going to get tired of things sounding so perfect all the time.
Do you think that bubbles up first within very, very soon?
I think the better AI gets, the quicker we're going to get to that, probably.
Okay.
Right.
You have a question right here?
Well, I consider this as an artist, and I consider the vocalist as well.
What kind of art do you do?
Background, environment, art, cartoon stuff.
Love that. Very cool.
But I've noticed, so I know as a creative individual, we understand there's too much perfection in AI. So we can see that it's AI. So for example, an artist has seen, you can see every bit of shadow inside of this AI picture, so therefore it's AI. You can see that in profiles, all
Sure,
that
yeah.
stuff. So we understand that, but I notice when I speak to performers, like everybody else who is not an artist, whether it's music or visual arts, they don't know. And obviously in the past when we mentioned everybody in the vocal life is obvious, but it's the pursuit of AI as perfection and being more passable, realistic, and people who are the consumers, who are the ones who in the end control the industry, are fooled by it. Then do you think the future truly will swing back if that's the case? Because usually it's okay, art, everything swings back towards realism. This is the genre, this is realism, so it's going to swing back to, I don't know, cubism or something, right?
Sure.
But if AI encompasses everything and is trying to reach the perfection that normal people don't notice, and it's never genre, how do we maintain that?
Yeah, I think that, nobody obviously, that's a pretty serious question. But I think that in the end, people want, generally speaking, people want other people to like succeed and like to have a purpose and to you know, lean into their strengths, all the things. And I don't know, and I'm pretty pessimistic, to be honest, but like I think that there's going to be a point where people are going to want to not have everything be AI to support just human beings. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be like about the perfection specifically, but it might be like a more like human rights, you know, humanity kind of play that like will want to support people, right? And I think that there's going to be some kind of version of, again, like even right now, the animation industry is so fragmented right now, right? All these animation studios are imploding, right? And there's this tug of war happening between the artists and AI and corporate America, all these things, right? I think ultimately what's going to end up happening is that things will be torn down and rebuilt, but there'll be some kind of blend. Again, I don't think that AI is going to replace you as an artist, or you know what I mean, like people are going to want that, but I think it will be helpful once people come to terms with it on the small gaps, the practical things that it can do for maybe their workflows. That's the best answer that I have for you, not being an animator myself.
So it sounds like from what I've seen in previous panels and talks, so it sounds like essentially by building yourself and your brand as a person and what you do, the way to kind of prevent AI from just taking over as a thing is just to put the personal aspect in it so people can follow you with that. And so even if you do use AI, people still know this is your work.
For sure. And I think that, yeah, I think that the real, again, it's about that vertical alignment of like, as long as it's authentic to you, right, and it's something that you're passionate about, all the peripheral things aren't going to change that at the end of the day. So it's like whether you're, you know, making a gajillion dollars as an animator or two, it's like tomorrow I'm still going to be a singer. You know what I mean? Like if fake singers become the thing tomorrow, I'm still going to be writing my music, whether I make money or not. I think as long as that's at the core value, partnered with you building your brand as a human being, yeah, I don't think AI is going to be able to take that away.
Do you feel that do you think that maybe in the future, like that AI kind of musical art can just have like separate categories?
I think it does. Literally one of my favorite songs that I saved like last week, it's 100% AI.
Really?
It's 100% AI, but it's so good.
Really?
And it was undetectable. I didn't realize it was AI until there was no singer credited, and this person has used that same voice in different iterations of it over the past several years. So I listened to that same voice sing a different song, but it was way more obvious that it was AI or like a robotic voice or whatever. I'm sorry, what was your initial question?
No, it's just like, do you think that like having just
Yes.
separate categories?
So I think that like that artist works a lot with other VTubers and like other like Vocaloid artists, and that very much is like its own niche. So
Okay.
I definitely would not be surprised if there's like an audience for that, right? But you had said something really interesting. You said the people decide, the consumers decide. I think that there's definitely going to be a major corporate push to like force AI down people's throat, because again, I think that businesses they don't have to insure AI. They don't have to make sure it has benefits. They don't have to make sure that, you know what I mean? Like they don't have to give AI a vacation or anything like that, right? So I think there will be a little war there, but I think, yeah, to your point, the best way to combat that is through your own personal brand, without a doubt, and having that vertical alignment.
Interesting. And then like, where do you think?
How is there? I feel like, is there cat hair all over this table? Right? Like there's hella cat hair here.
I believe that because this is a pet-friendly
It's like, I was like, I didn't see a single cat. How is there? Is this my cat's hair? Maki, did you follow me here to this convention? I know that we're slated for an hour, but we definitely don't have to go to eat.
Oh, okay, no, I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it.
all
You got 8 minutes?
Oh.
13? No? Okay. So one thing that I wanted to ask is that I was gonna ask a question, and then the cat here just like completely threw
I'm
me
sorry,
off.
it's literally on my, I'm just like, it's been blowing my mind. I was like, how did this, what's going on? Like, what? Because it's like everywhere, it's like all over these things.
So then, kind of to your point of like trying to build that brand of realistic but like natural who you are, what are things that people can do to kind of make that brand? Is that something that I realize that was kind of a vague question because it's hard to answer because every person's brand is different.
Sure, but I think that there's some universal truths. I think number one, don't be an asshole.
Sure.
Number one.
Sure.
I think that if you're just even like a halfway decent person, that goes a long way.
Sure.
Right? I think two, it's again, like having that vertical alignment that it's like you have like a level of consistency where people know what to expect from you, right? They know what they're getting from you, what they've signed up for. And then the third one is be very good at the thing that you do, right?
The specific.
100%,
Yeah.
right? Like if my thing is singing and songwriting, I better not suck.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like tonight, whether there's 5 people in the room or 50 people in the room, every person is going to leave that room going, he's the real deal.
Yeah,
He's talented. That was really awesome, right?
Yeah.
I think those 3 things are what anybody can do to build their brand, right? And to do it for yourself, ultimately.
Yeah.
Right? Because people may say, I literally mentored this one dude, and he was, I want more streams, I want more followers, I want X, Y, and Z. He got more streams, more followers, and couldn't handle the pressure, right? And was just like, I'm bailing out, I'm not doing this anymore, right? But I think that his perspective was, I'm doing it for the streams, I'm doing it for the followers, I want to eat right, versus about just, like for instance, I stream in my sim rig an hour a day, so I do like toge racing,
Okay.
right, in an RX-7 in Assetto Corsa, and I stream an hour every single day because I practice an hour a day, right? It's not like I'm building my life, my streaming around, you know what I mean? Like I'm not doing the streaming so I can get the views, I'm doing it because I'm doing the thing anyway.
Sure.
So I might as well be a little bit more productive
Sure.
and try to tap into an audience and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Just so if there's anything that, I guess in that case, you're going to do it anyways, and might as well just broadcast it and see who you might
absolutely.
pick up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have 100 diehard fans than 1,000 fair weather ones. That's
No,
for sure.
I think that's very important. And like to the point where the person who mentored, he said that he was doing it for like a numbers game, and we kind of alluded to in the previous conversation.
Yeah.
Of like
You'll
find
be
the
miserable.
find the passion of like what you're doing, because otherwise you just won't get yourself out.
Without a doubt.
So yeah. But yeah, so I know we're about 10 minutes, but at least we can end off on a very good note. Do you have any upcoming projects that people can look forward to, and then where can people find you on social media?
So Sam Sky official on all social medias. I dropped my first single, Vermilion, from what will be an NEP, which I haven't even announced anywhere else yet. So There you go. And then also I started a clothing company, taking JDM and anime and kind of infusing them together, because I watched Initial D and never ruined my life.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
That company is called Sore Losers Club. That's right. SoreLosersClub.co is the name of the store. The soft launch is going on right now. All you got to do is, it's password protected. You just got to follow on social media, and we'll send you the invite to join, and you can go check out the exclusive soft launch collections, all those things. But I've got several conventions that I'm doing for the remainder of the year. All of them are posted up on my website, so definitely looking forward to meeting new people and making some more memories before the year's end.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate this conversation.
Likewise.
It was a good time.
Thanks, man.
All right. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Have a good one.